Welcome to Crypto.XL, your go-to spot for all things crypto. Here we dive into market trends, altcoin gems, and blockchain innovations, helping you stay ahead in the ever-evolving world of crypto. But remember, I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing here is financial advice. Always do your own research before investing. Want exclusive insights? Join the Patreon where I share buy and sell picks, market updates, and behind-the-scenes content. Hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon so you never miss an update. Let's ride the crypto wave together.
Crypto.XL. Hey guys, I'm back. So, where is BTC? BTC retraced to a little bit above 100,000, and it pumped back up to 105,000 roughly. And now it's finding it hard. It's finding it hard to maintain the momentum and pump to the upside. I do believe that last video we said that there was bearish divergence on the RSI, and that Bitcoin was probably going to come down in a little while and reset. We mentioned a few levels. We mentioned 102. We mentioned 90 early 90, 97, 94. And we did mention high 80s too. Okay, short term, right? The levels are not really, it's good to know some levels, but the levels are not the most important thing. I think the most important thing is momentum, and are we going up, or are we going down in the short term? And then the macro, are we going up or going down in the long term? Long term in this sense, we're talking about 6 to 9 month period is long term. So depending on which market you're looking at, long term can mean different things. On this channel, we've been relatively accurate. We've had a good track record. Everything is not 100%. I don't expect it to be 100%. Never said it would be. I've always said that I'm a crypto enthusiast and I'm not a financial advisor. Investing in crypto is risky and you can lose all your money. So make sure you take full responsibility for your decisions. That all being said, if you're still here while others are not, congratulations to you. You're doing the right thing. The way to make money in these markets, in my opinion, is to be contrarian. And according to Warren Buffett, to be greedy when others are fearful, and to be fearful when others are greedy. Now, retail, looking at the price of Bitcoin, is not seeing Bitcoin as the most strategic and best investment at this point, because we're dealing with a Bitcoin that's above $100,000. So if Bitcoin goes up 120%, Bitcoin goes to $120,000, you make 20%. Depending on if you bought Bitcoin for 100K. So Bitcoin in and of itself, the major moves from that, most of the moves have already been made. So this cycle, I could guess where Bitcoin's going to go this cycle, but that's a guess, so who cares really? Instead of guessing what number Bitcoin is going to be at the end of the cycle, it's more important for me to get the macro correctly. Macro meaning, are we in an uptrend or a downtrend within the next 6 to 9 months? Which direction are we going? And what it looks like to me is that we're in an uptrend. That's most important to me, not the price points of Bitcoin, even though I've given some pretty accurate price points. But more importantly, which direction are we headed in? Okay, let's have a quick recap, right? Bitcoin retraced because of the feud between Elon Musk and Trump. That is the current narrative. That's when it dumped. On this channel, we anticipated the dump before the news. So the chart is more important than the news. The chart will tell you what's going to happen first. So first you need to learn how to read the chart. And then the news would fill itself in. Something will happen that will justify the move. So the question now, are we good? I mean, we've reset. Have we reset enough? And I really don't know. Do we have more downside, or are we going to go up from here? No way to tell. Um, Within a week, you know, I would say that I still think Bitcoin looks pretty weak right now. Weak as in small term movement, not long term movement, right? So, I think we still might hit some levels. I think we do all right for right now, and then we, short term, really, really short term, that we pull back a little bit, and after that after we flush a few more people out, then we get the check mark and we start going up. I do think there's tremendous upside still. I don't think we've topped out. I don't think the market's over. Reason being, there's two major reasons why I don't think the market's over. Number one is the M2 money supply. M2 money supply still shows bullish heading into July. So bullish meaning that there's more money coming in than going out, and that the money supply is increasing. So the institutions get the money first. The people connected close to government get the money first. The highest of the highest government officials are getting this money. The highest of the highest companies are getting this money. And there's very little place for them to put their money that is as lucrative as Bitcoin, right? They could put their money in gold. Gold is up tremendously, by the way. They could put their money in the stock market. Stock market, what does it do? You get 20% returns from the stock market for the entire year, and that's great. Stock market's already extremely high. It's up a lot. It's been up a lot, right? So we get a couple more percentage points from the stock market. Or they could put their money in a more higher risk asset such as Bitcoin, higher risk in comparative to the stock market. And if they do that, then maybe they make 40% on their money, right? We're not on a full-blown risk-on environment yet, because the federal government is still in quantitative tightening, right? So we know that the Feds said that they're going to be slowing down quantitative tightening. They said by mid this year. Mid this year is June. Guess what? We're already in June. So it shows me that there's going to be more. The quantitative tightening is going to slow down really, really soon. So that means that there's going to be more funds available to put into assets. And at first, the less risky assets is going to get this money, right? Stock market, things like that. Tesla's down tremendously. It dropped 14% in one day because of this feud between these two individuals. So if you're looking for places where you can park some capital, coming from someone who's not a financial advisor, there are a lot. I look for assets that have been outperforming for the past year, and that has had a serious pullback, and I would DCA into those. I did make a call for Ethereum. I've been making a call for Ethereum for a long time, and I was accumulating Ethereum at the bottom. I was accumulating Ethereum at 1400. I think Ethereum is going to pump really, really hard, and I'll be looking for pullbacks in Ethereum. Ethereum is actually part of the reserve fund that Trump has. His company. The name slips me at this moment, but that company is invested into Ethereum. Ethereum is also mentioned as a possible asset that the United States government is going to want to accumulate in the future. I anticipate policy decisions that will have the federal government accumulating Ethereum at some point. I could be wrong, but I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, whatever, right? Um, if I'm right, then we could see Ethereum do nice multiples from this point. You never know, right? And since we are closer to the bottom, in my opinion, than the top, on pullbacks, I will be accumulating assets like Ethereum. There's other assets that they've mentioned, such as ADA and a few others. You can look for, US cryptos, but when Bitcoin has a serious pullback like the one we just experienced, we've experienced a pullback that brought Bitcoin almost to 100K. So a lot of these altcoins had a devastating and massive move down. If you're patient and you're willing to DCA in on these wicks, every time we have a wick to the downside, I think that will be a smart and strategic move. And at this point, you do not have to get the micro caps. You don't have to get the high risk assets. Yeah, these micro caps can 50x, but we have seen and we've been witnessing a lot of these micro caps failing. We've seen micro caps that have gone to zero. So this is a game that at this point you don't have to play. You don't have to play a game where you could lose all your money at this point. You can end up getting long-term solid assets that are not going to go to zero. They might not give you the 50x return, but at this point, since they're down 50%, 40%, or these kind of numbers, these assets might give you really good multiples in the future without having you take on this risk. So this is a different market than the market we were in before when altcoins were completely outperforming. Yes, we are at the lower end of um, altcoins. A lot of them are damaged. We're not completely at zero. We are still up. The altcoin market cap is still up this year versus last year. It doesn't feel like it, but it depends on which altcoins you are holding. So if you're holding the solid large caps, you would be up. Right. So all coins like Ondo, Render, Sui, I mean all of these kind of coins, they're a lot higher now than they were before, right? So what's the strategy, right? What strategy would I be employing? Well, I'd be looking for cryptos that have staying power, cryptos that are relatively strong versus Bitcoin. So when I say relatively strong versus Bitcoin, that already eliminates 90% of the cryptos that are on the market, right? So that shouldn't be too hard to find. You can go to crypto bubbles and you can see which cryptos for the yearly. Go on the yearly and see which cryptos are strong versus Bitcoin, right? And then wait for Bitcoin to have these capitulation events when it wicks down, and then you can DCA into the stronger alts. And if they're plays that you have high conviction in, like let's say they're mid caps or even micro caps that you have high conviction in, okay, well, you need to check to see if there's liquidity in these cryptos. Because if there is not liquidity in these cryptos, when Bitcoin capitulates, these projects can fail. We've seen a number of projects fail, as I mentioned before. So I would be looking to see. I go to CoinMarketCap or go to CoinGecko and see how many exchanges these cryptos are on. Hold on. As I was saying, go to CoinMarketCap and see how many exchanges are these cryptos on. What is the volume? What's the daily volume on the trade? Uh, what is the amount of liquidity in each one of these exchanges that they're on? What is the liquidity in Pancake Swap or in Solana, in whichever blockchain it's in? How's the liquidity? Does it only have 10K in liquidity? If it only has 10K in liquidity, when you're ready to sell this crypto, there might be no one to buy it, right? If it only has 10K in liquidity, maybe it's only doing $200 a day in volume. If it's only doing $200 a day in volume, and you made $10,000 from holding this crypto, when it's time for you to sell it, and you try to sell $10,000 worth, you're gonna find out that there's no one to buy it, and you're gonna get hit with all kinds of fees, and you're gonna find out when you do this trade that $10,000 that you thought you had is not really $10,000. Maybe it's 2,000. right? Because you have to you your trade lowered the price so much that that's your profit. And this is the reason why if you have high conviction in a mid cap or a small cap, you have to make sure liquidity exists before you pull the trigger on it. Because if you don't, you can get stuck with something you can't sell, right? But if you want to find out which cryptos I'm into, which ones I'm buying, when I'm buying, how I'm buying, you check out the Patreon because all of this stuff is there. Also, do realize that not many people are watching crypto right now. Crypto is not something that retail is really into, but that's when you're able to make your money because you're able to scoop up cryptos at a discount. If everyone saw the value of crypto, then the prices would be higher. If the prices are higher, you wouldn't be able to make profit. So you have to do the opposite of what everybody else is doing. That's the way to make money in crypto. As usual, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Manage your risk. You can lose all your money in crypto, so make sure you learn in this process. All right? This is Crypto.XL, and I will be seeing you guys next time. Take care.
Welcome to Crypto.XL, your go-to spot for all things crypto. Here we dive into market trends, altcoin gems, and blockchain innovations, helping you stay ahead in the ever-evolving world of crypto. But remember, I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing here is financial advice. Always do your own research before investing. Want exclusive insights? Join the Patreon where I share buy and sell picks, market updates, and behind-the-scenes content. Hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon so you never miss an update. Let's ride the crypto wave together.